Microphone check 1 2 3 4. Microphone check 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10. Shabbat Shalom, y'all. We'll be getting started here in a couple minutes. I'm just doing all the final checks. Okay, so we'll be getting started here on time. All right, Shabbat Shalom, y'all. That was Exodus Productions you were listening to. And we are going to get into this. We're going to start off with current events. Then we're going to get into the lesson. I'm gonna teach a couple things. I'm gonna do kind of a relationship teaching and kind of how they oppress us through relationships, and then Brother Adonai is gonna kind of do a you got to turn that down a little bit. Brother Adonai is gonna do a Torah. He's gonna come at relationships kind of from a Torah basis, and he's gonna kind of show how Hebrew relationships work. So what I'm going to do first is we're going to get into these current events. I'm going to switch over to the screen. And we're going to go through these a little bit. I have some interesting stuff in here. Let's see. And if you could just let me know how the stream is going, because I just got a warning here saying the stream is slow or something like that. So just if you could in the comments, just keep me posted. All right, there we go. Okay. So in the current events, the first thing, and all this stuff, if you want to watch it or get caught up further on it, it's right there on the Jacksonville, Florida Hebrew Israelites Facebook group. As a matter of fact, that's where that's what I'm posting up here. That's directly where it's coming from. That's what's on the screen. But anyway, the first story is, and a lot of you might have seen this before. This is a documentary that North Korea put out about America, and it's the way it was put out is propaganda for their people to show how Americans are and how off we are. And a lot of people thought, I guess it was going to be lies, but I mean, it's pure truth in it. Like, the whole thing is pure truth. And it's basically what we see here, you know, what we talk about a lot as Hebrew Israelites and stuff like that. And it's just showing the dirt that America does below the surface. So this is a very good documentary. It's right there on, I posted it in there. It says the documentary is quite profound. Video from a new kind of human. So that's the group that posted it, and says this North Korean documentary will make you think. And it just shows what the agenda, you know, below the surface that they do here in America. So just go check that out. It's very interesting. Let's see the next story. It says China pulls ahead of U.S. in latest top 500 list. So yeah, that go ahead and answer. That's somebody dropping the stuff off. If it's that same dude, see, let me know. Oh, okay, he dropped the boxes off. So yeah, but anyway, it says China, it jumped in front of the U.S. in, what does it say, in the 50th top 500 list of the fastest supercomputers in the world. Has China overtaken the U.S. in the total number of ranked systems by a margin of 202 to in the top 500. So the reason I put that in there is just showing that this country is slowly weakening. to countries like China and Russia and other countries, they're they're beginning to fall off their pedestal. And what it is, they're getting tenderized to the point, they're getting softened up to the point where these end time events, this country will be greatly weakened. You know, where in a war where we would normally dominate, well, now it's going to be, it could be anybody's. And from what I've studied thus far in end time prophecy, it looks like this country is going to get in a war. It's going to greatly get weakened. All the fragile parts are going to begin to break, like the amount of debt this country has. And they're going to end up, you know, that's going to be the demise of this country, you know. But yeah, that's a interesting event. It says thousands of scientists issue bleak second notice to humanity. And I didn't read the whole article, but it says in 1992, scientists warned humanity about a host of impending ecological disasters. A quarter century later, most of them have gotten worse. So, and I'm sure what that ties into are polluted rivers, oceans, global warming, all types of, you know, pollution in the air, like in China and in California. A lot of times you have to, they have heavy smog days in California where you're going to have a hard time breathing. Yeah, in Asia too, in China too. So, I mean, they warned about that way back then. Well, now it's a reality. And it ties into end time prophecy where it said in those end times, you know, all the oceans would be polluted and the rivers would be polluted. And you see that beginning to happen. I know here in Jacksonville, you drive across this bridge called the Buckman Bridge and you look at the St. Johns River and it looks black. And when you get close to the water and, you know, when the wind's blowing, the water's brown. So, you know, and they've warned people here in Jacksonville about that St. Johns River. They said one guy, some of the water splashed on his eyeball and he almost had to get his eye removed because the water's that nasty. So, you know, this Greco-Roman beast system is just destroying everything in its path, including nature. You know what I'm saying? So, let's see. We have here, FDA approves pill with sensor that digitally tracks if patient has ingested their medication. Okay? And I got a couple technological posts I put here. And, you know, I did a video maybe 2 years ago, and so that was 2 years, and I was saying in about 5 years, but so now it's in about 3 years, and it's probably going to happen even shorter. And they actually have a name for it. They call it the singularity, and they have another name for it, but it's going to be a point where it's like technology is reaching this point where everything's getting ready to change. One of those points, one time it reached that point was with the computer revolution, the internet. But now we're reaching a point where technology has gotten to a point where it's actually better and faster than the human brain. And they call that point the singularity, and we're beginning to reach it right now. And what's getting ready to happen in the next 2 or 3 years, technology will reach a point, like things in the next 2 or 3 years are going to change so much, and people don't even see it. One of these posts I have here on the group is about self-driving cars. Self-driving cars are probably 1.5 years away where they're going to hit the mainstream. And then, like I said, in about 3 years, it's just going to be full-fledged. And it's like you won't even go to the store to get your groceries. You'll just program your car, send your car to the grocery store. The stores are already putting your groceries in the car in the back of the store. I know Walmart's doing a program like that. Amazon has already set up something. They bought out Whole Food. They're talking about making that all automated so you could just pick your food up. But these self-driving cars are going to change everything. Like UPS drivers will be out of work because you'll just send your car to get whatever the heck you want. You won't even be in your car for a lot of stuff, So you can't even conceive the effects it's going to have. A lot of people are going to be plunged into poverty if they have jobs that this technology can replace, But
even the waiters. Remember we were at the restaurant?
Yeah. Me and my wife, we ate out at this place. What's that place called? Red something. But anyway, you don't even need a waiter to pay for your food or place your order. They had a little tablet there, and Samantha, sit down. Get your chair and sit down because you're running around. Okay, don't do it. But yeah, you don't even have waiters are beginning to be eliminated. You see the self-checkout at Walmart, but pretty soon people in general working at grocery stores are going to be eliminated because Amazon's opening up. Like they have this big factory they're opening up. I talked about it last week, and it's like a quarter-mile long, but it's only going to have maybe 300 jobs there in that big factory because they said it's going to be all automated. So, it's like, and when you see what this is all culminating to, it's culminating to society is just going to fracture. You know what I'm saying? As you know it, and things are going to just start falling apart, But I won't go into that. I need to do a video on that soon because things are changing big time. The first man to have his genes edited inside his body. A clinical trial for zinc finger, whatever that is, a potential new method of curing genetic disease kicks off. Again, is what I keep saying. I'm talking about we're about 3 years from, and nobody even knows about this, but we're 3 years from a point where you won't, every single thing is going to change. Medicine's going to change. You name it, it's going to change. It's going to be affected by what's getting ready to come out. They were talking about those sex robots in China and how that is like moving ahead fast. How AI, artificial intelligence, is moving forward at a record pace. All this stuff, and we're right on the edge of it coming, and I don't think people realize it. And it's going to change. It's going to change stuff like we've never seen before ever in the history of man. It's going to dwarf the computer and the internet revolution. What's right around the corner. Let's see. So this is Terry Crews. He named who, my computer's acting slow, but he named who touched him. I don't think I'm gonna play it. Yeah, because we'll play it.
Back in February 2016, I was assaulted by Adam Bennett.
Yeah, I'm not gonna play this because this thing is going way too slow, and it's annoying when my internet is slow. But he named the guy. You could go on a group and go ahead and watch it for yourself. But he named the guy who touched him inappropriately. He describes the situation, and like the dude even looks like a perv when you see him, and he tells who the dude is and what type of power he has in Hollywood. He's an agent, so if you have this guy as your agent, you're gonna get a he's an agent for people like Adam Sandler, Eddie Murphy. You know, it's a who's who of big name celebrities that this guy represents. He gets them movie acting deals or whatever, gigs. And guess how he probably gets them. Guess what his little line is. He's like, hey, if you let me do this to you, you know who I represent, you know. So, you know, so if you want to look at the people he represents and imagine what he's done to those people he represents, you know. So, but yeah, you got to take that into account. This is the title of today's show, but I got a couple more things to review. So this is what I was talking about earlier. I just posted this thought up there. It says, technology is getting ready to change everything. It is unclear how it will be changed, but everything is getting ready to change. And who's pushing technology? Who gives these people these ideas for this technology? Satan does. That's where they're getting these ideas from. Is that what you were going to say, Samantha? Yeah, right. Okay. And Terry Crews wondered why people are touching him inappropriately. Well, this is why. You know, when you're doing stuff like this, the freaks are gonna come out the woodwork for you. Okay? So, you know. Oh, he's wondering why. That's why. Okay, now this is interesting. And because I'm going to call the cable company because my internet is acting up. I like my internet fast, and it is not being fast. But anyway, watch this video. It's mind-blowing. What they got here is the ultimate technology. It says in very little, nuclear bombs will be a thing of the past. It says new weapons of mass destruction are small, intelligent robots with sensors like your smartphone. Okay, what this is, watch this video, man. These are little flying robots that have artificial intelligence in them. And what they can do is launch thousands, tens of thousands of these things from a plane. These things fly in, acquire a target, and they, like the one they show here, they actually have a mannequin sitting up in there, and this thing flies around, flies towards the mannequin thing, and blows a little hole right into the mannequin's head and kills it. So if it was a human, it'd kill it. And so they're smart weapons, and I said it could be tens of thousands of them. So they're better than a gun. You just launch them from wherever, and they just hunt their target down and find them. And how do they hunt the target down? By using the same technology. It's called triangulating your position based on your cell phone location. So they hunt you down by your cell phone, and then when they find you, it's a wrap. So watch that video though. And that's what I'm talking about. People in a very short amount of time, they're not even going to realize, they don't realize how everything's going to change. Weapons are going to change. Meanwhile, back at the Christian church, 3 Ohio pastors facing life in prison, indicted for trafficking young girls for sex. So, while we're trying to warn you about impending danger and society changing, that's what they're doing back in the Christian church. So, but anyway, that concludes our current events. And now we're going to get into the lesson. I'm going to get it all set up. Okay. All right. So yeah, we're going to get into the lesson. Let me pull up a verse real quick. Okay. And let me make that a little bigger so everybody can see it. Hopefully you can read that. Let me see. All right. And I'm just pulling my notes up here. Just bear with me. Okay, and originally I named this, destruction. I named this destruction of the black man. It might, at least this part of the lesson, a better way, maybe a better time might be destruction of the black family, or just destruction of us as a nation. But what I'm gonna do is just kind of talk about some points, how they're destroying us in certain areas. Of course, I'm not going over every single area where we're being destroyed, but this is kind of a blanket kind of conversation. This how we're destroyed, kind of in our perception of relationships and stuff like that, and it's gonna kind of tie into Adonaihu's discussion on these relationships also. So trying to keep a good main idea of everything, but the way I'm gonna start it off is just kind of trying to. I want to get one of the main things lately that I've realized, and that I'm trying to wire correctly, because people are like, Christianity has wired people backwards with their understanding of why things happen to people, why we're in the condition we're in. And what a lot of people don't realize is these curses that are on us are literal. They're literal curses. It's not like it's not a superstitious kind of luck type of thing. These curses are literal. Like, because we're doing this, we're getting this. Okay? It's not anything other than that, and it's very literal. And when you begin to realize, hey, you're in this type of situation because you're doing this type of behavior, when you begin to see that, and when you begin to see that in yourself and in your life and in your relationships and stuff like that, that's when you begin to realize that that's when you begin to realize how to fix it, how to come out of that situation. Okay, and somebody posted something in the group, so let me read it real quick. It says, if I could add something to the current events discussion. Okay, yeah, that's fine. It says, I saw a news story on how the ink from tattoos are dangerous, and how the ink goes through the skin to reach and later decay the lymph nodes. Wow, I didn't know that. It says, I just thought it was important since it's a turn on to, it's a turn on to black men and black women to find a mate with tattoos nowadays. I didn't know that. I didn't know that was, I try to, you know, and you see these people covered in tattoos, and, you know, and then he posted, he said, and I was thinking that since tattoo ink decays lymph nodes, that the death from it could be a judgment from the Most High. Hey, man, exactly. That ties right into what I was just saying about when you go against these laws, it's literal. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, shoot, man, it's like in the 90s, tattoos, Samantha, go in your room. In the 90s, tattoos were not the in thing. It was like, that was something for bikers and people in biker gangs and white folks with long hair, stuff like that. Like, you didn't see black folks getting tattooed. It's like now, it's like, if your face ain't covered in tattoos, you're not cool, you know? But yeah, that and it's funny, and of course they pushed that on us through the music, and now we've taken it and run with it, and you know, it's just a hot mess. So, and it says, and I was thinking that since tattoo ink decays lymph nodes, okay, you were saying the death's a judgment, and somebody else put, thanks for sharing, and while I know some nice looking people with tattoos, I actually don't find them attractive. Me neither. I always wanted a tat, but never went through with it. I'm glad now. Yeah, you know. So these people who got their bodies covered in them, they can, you know, they can expect, you know, eventually to have some health issues. But yeah, that's interesting. I hadn't heard about that. But yeah, like I was saying, these curses are literal. You know, you do something and you get a result, you know. So that's something we got to come to understanding, and that's why I try to get people to not over spiritualize the book. I understand it's a spiritual book, but Christianity tends to over spiritualize it so that they could get away with literal sin. And that's what I'm trying to get away from, and realign people's thinking to, hey, this is very literal too. Okay? It's very practical. Okay? All right. And then going into this, you know, me and my wife, we were watching this documentary, the one I told you guys about, where that scientist was talking about how, it's a white scientist talking about how there's an agenda to destroy black people, you know. And it was a good documentary. He brought out some good information. A lot of it I had already heard about. But, and hold on, somebody posted something. Yeah, they're talking about that reality TV show Black Ink, and I guess it's all black. It's because I know there was another tattoo show.
Watch it, so I don't know.
Yeah, I think it's a reality show called Black Ink, and it's black folks running a tattoo shop. But I thought there was a white one like that too first. But yeah, so of course they're pushing that to us, because whatever they do in reality TV shows, that's what's cool and that's what everybody follows, you know. But what I was saying is I was watching that show, documentary that white scientist did, and you just begin to realize that to be a black person who's just born, you done already overcome a bunch of stuff. And to be a black person who makes it to 40 years old, you have accomplished an amazing feat. And you should not, just to live to that, you know, let alone to make it to 40 and not be addicted to alcohol, drugs, to not be in prison. If you meet somebody, like when I meet people who are who are my age or 50 years old, who are not on drugs, who have a job, who are not in prison, that is somebody you should run and talk to, because they're doing something extreme. Because everything that is put in front of you is designed to steer you different. Just like what you just brought out about the tattoos. It's like what you begin to see, and what I'm gonna begin to, you know, I'm gonna do my best to get people to become aware of, is the agenda to kill you off in every way. You know, everywhere you look, what they're pushing on you is designed to kill you off. And you got to think, hey, you were conceived, you survived abortion, then you survived your those vaccinations, then you made it to 20, and you didn't get shot or killed or get hooked on some crazy drugs. Then you made it through your 30s without losing your mind. Sure, you went crazy a couple times, because I did, but I didn't lose my mind. And then, you know, you survive relationships and HIV and all these drugs and all that. So yeah, if you make it to 40 and you're still in your right mind, you have accomplished a feat, because they have laid out a minefield in front of you, you know, and you survived, and you didn't step on any mines that were fatal. Everybody has stepped on a couple, you know, because I was an alcoholic at one point, you know, so, you know, but I got delivered from that. So yeah, that's, you are, you know, right there, you're amazing, you know. And like I said, we're going to go through some of the things that show that agenda to destroy us as a people. So this is Isaiah. Hold on, we're having network problems. Okay, let me see what's going on here. But I'm not going to worry about it, because this is being recorded. So if the feed is just that terrible, I'll just so they were somebody posted in a group, they said you're not missing anything, because they barely show the tats. It's more about the drama. So yeah, but anyway, so Isaiah chapter 51 verse 20, it says, thy sons have fainted, they lie at the head of all the streets, as a wild bull in a net. They are full of the fury of the Lord, the rebuke of thy God. And isn't that, like, like that is kind of what I'm gonna get into, of how we're subliminally programmed, and we don't even realize it, but how we get subliminally programmed, and it's where, when it comes to authority and holding down jobs and all that stuff, and dealing with this society that we are, or in this captivity we're like a wild bull in a net. You know, imagine that, just bucking around going crazy, and you're not getting anywhere in this captivity that you're in. And in order to get out of this captivity, you just gotta calm down and look at what's around you, and somebody needs to come and give you understanding on that. And that's what I'm gonna try to do in this lesson. If society, the media, and all that, what they teach, particularly what they teach us as black men, is to buck against society, to buck against authority. It's like that's what they teach us. That's what they push us to do, is just any type of authority, to go against it, to buck it. I remember coming in the military and just for years not knowing how to deal with these people, how they talk to you any type of way, and you couldn't punch them in their mouth. So I was like, and you couldn't intimidate them. They just hide behind. And I'd see people getting kicked out because they didn't, brothers like me getting kicked out because they didn't know how to deal with it. And for years, I just wrestled with that, and it's just so painful. And towards the end, and when I say towards the end of me wrestling with it and then coming into the knowledge of the truth, it got to the point where I was just asking God, I was like, what the heck is going on? How they keep winning over me, And then he began to show me, through the word, how to deal with these folks, But for years, I did not know how to deal with them. Okay? So through the media, through the church, through every input our people are getting, our men are getting, they teach them to buck against authority. They teach them, especially black men, they teach the children to disrespect black men, to buck against them, okay? And they get the black man out of the house. There's an agenda for that, okay? And we got another verse I'm gonna pull up here, and that's Ecclesiasticus in the Apocrypha, Ecclesiasticus 30, verse 12. So chapter 30, verse 12, and it says, bow down his neck while he is young, and beat him on the sides while he is a child, lest he wax stubborn and be disobedient unto thee, and so bring sorrow to thine heart. So we don't do this, okay? Discipline and disciplining children and stuff like that is looked at as sinful, you shouldn't talk to him like that, and this, that, and other. And our young men need this discipline bad. And I'm going to just be real, almost to the point of, if this is abuse, our young men need it right there, because we are in their society. You see white kids mouthing off to their mothers and doing whatever they want, and they could do that because this is their society. So their society is gonna be merciful to them. There's dudes at my job, white dudes at my job, who are just garbage. They don't do work. They got poor work ethic, but these are their nation runs this thing. So we'll just move them over here, or we'll just. But a brother come in there and not doing his job, they're looking at how they could get rid of him immediately. They ain't gonna help him. They ain't gonna tell him what he's doing wrong. They ain't gonna be merciful to him. It's gonna be over. Same thing with a cop. If you being ignorant to him, pop, 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 he gonna shoot you. You're gonna be dead. We've seen the videos of. Okay, we got another quick interruption. Yeah, we've seen the videos of the lack of mercy the cops have to us, and then we've seen other people, all right, it was that same dude, huh? Yes. Yeah, you should have invited him in, asked him why he working on Shabbat. But we've seen the videos of white people who and the mercy the cops have towards them. So And I have a story that I could tell you. One of the toughest places I worked in was in the Air National Guard, in the engine shop, you know, and like I said, I didn't have the best work ethic and all that. And they were merciless to me, and it was just a tough place to work, you know, because, you know, it was Southern rednecks, all that stuff, and they weren't, if you were off, they weren't going to help you. You just going to get disciplined or screwed over or something. But after I got out of that shop, this brother came into that shop, and he rose right to the top of that shop. And I talked to him, and a matter of fact, one of these days I'm gonna do an interview with him about this topic, about his work ethic, because his work ethic was flawless. Like his mindset of how to work and what he needed to do was just airtight. And I mean, he rose right to the top of that shop because his mindset was right. And of course, when I see somebody like that, I give him the hard interview. I was like, so was your father involved in your life? He was like, not really, but he had a stepfather who beat him, and abusively would beat him up. If he did the slightest thing wrong, this guy would beat him up. And he basically, I want to say, he said, if he ran into that dude today, he'd beat him down for what he did to him, you know, physically beating him. But it paid off because he went to the top. And I'm not saying abuse kids and nothing like that, but to not abuse or to not chastise your child, like it said, and there's a bunch of verses in Ecclesiasticus about how to chastise a child. And it also says, don't break their spirit. And this dude was tough. His spirit didn't get broken from it. But, you know, again, he does not like that man. If he said if he ran into him, it'd take a lot for him not to beat him up or whatever. But, again, to not discipline your child is a death sentence. Because these kids are going to go out here. They're not going to be able to hold down a job. They're not going to be good in relationships and all that stuff like that. So, and we're going to read some other verses later where, hey, it says, don't be a kid's friend. Don't be seeking to have them happy all the time. But what this society sells you is, oh, your child needs to be at Disney World all day and should never be sad. And it should be all cookies and candy and toys and happiness their whole life while they're young. And then when they get into real life, it's the shock of a century. Like when real life hits them, it's just they go into depression, they get on drugs and all that stuff like that. So that's part of the poison they feed us to keep us destroyed, men and women alike. Okay, so let me go on to the next script. All right, let me see what I see y'all written a bunch of stuff in here. You're not messing around. Okay, so Markeisha said she purchased the Apocrypha about a week ago, and I'm telling you, man, Ecclesiasticus, I mean, man, that's a game changer, you know? That's a book where it'll get your mind right. So let me press on. Okay, so this is teach. So one of the things that you see this society doing through all these mechanisms I talked about, through the media, through church, through family, whatever, is they get you to alienate the black man. they know it's imperative to get that black man out of the picture, because and to erase the power he brings, the importance of him, the direction, and some of the stuff he brings to the family. They know that's one of the most important things for them to do, is just get him out of the picture. And then when he's out of the picture, they got you, because they know they can manipulate the woman because she's more emotional than the man is. And like I said, I have a lesson after this, if we have time. If not, I'll do it next week, showing the strengths and weaknesses of the man and the woman, and how they both, what's the word? Complement each other. You know what I'm saying? So, but, you know, and what this society has done is they make it, I don't know the best word to use, but they make it like, oh, you're a male chauvinist if you bring up the woman's attributes and her strengths and where she needs to be using them at. Oh, you're being male chauvinistic. She could do whatever you do, and she could do it better. You know, so they flip the roles upside down, and it's a classic Satan move. That's one of his classics. Okay. And one of the things they do is they use the woman to force the man out. They take advantage of her, manipulate her, entice her through her weaknesses, her desire, and it's not a weakness, but her desire to be provided for. A woman should want that, but they magnify that desire. Oh, you should be getting this, that, and the other, and they play on that desire and use it to push the man out. Like one of my brothers was telling me, in order to get welfare, you have to put that man on child support. So that's one of the ways they play on that, and that's a tough one, you know. I put here, they teach black men to buck against authority and to cower to women. Okay, and that's one of the other things they teach. And through, again, what I just said, put him on child support and collect the welfare and push the man out of there. And now the woman's the authority figure in the house. They put the woman on the pedestal. And now when a man gets in a relationship with a woman, he's acting like, he's treating her he's giving her the same respect that he gave to his mother. Just, okay, I'll do what you say. Okay, I won't lead, you know, and this, that, and the other. And we got, I have a verse, a good verse. I can't find it, but there's a good verse backing that up in the Apocrypha. And a matter of fact, I do have it. It's just over here. Here, I'll pull it up. But there's a verse in the Apocrypha. I'm gonna try to quote it. If I don't have it, I will. I'll quote it. I'm positive I have it here, though. Just give me a sec. Okay, it's Ecclesiasticus. It's Ecclesiasticus 25, verse 22. And it says, a woman, if she maintain her husband, is full of anger, impudence, and much reproach. So that's, again, is backing up part of one of the issues you see in a lot of relationships is when a woman has to maintain the man, when the man's not leading, and a woman has to be the strength of the house, it angers her because she can't be in her feminine role where she could just let go. She has to put on this like the pants in the house and run the house, and they manipulate women into thinking, hey, this is the way you need to be, but it makes them miserable when they do it. But everywhere you look, that's what you see, even in the Christian church. Oh, well, you know, they're equal and this, that, and the other. No, there's roles here. And when a woman has to step into a male role, she loses her femininity, and it's not the natural, whatever you want to call it, that God intended her to be in, the mindset or whatever position, role that God intended her to be in. So the woman ends up being miserable. When the man's leading, when he's running the house, when he's making the big decisions and all that stuff and providing the guidance and all that and the direction and all that stuff, things run smoother. The woman could let her guard down and she could just be a woman and take care of the house and help where the help needs to be at, and you know, focus on the little details that need to be taken care of, you know, in the house. Okay. But we got another verse kind of backing that up, is Isaiah chapter 3, verse 12. Okay. And it says, Isaiah chapter 3, verse 12, as for my people, children are their oppressors, and women rule over them. O my people, they which lead thee cause thee to err, and destroy the way of thy paths. And who leads us? That's that silly church. That's what leads you. You know what I'm saying? And the children oppress us, man. You go out there, you know, I talked about this last week. You go out there and try to tell these young kids something, and you'll get a bullet in your head. You know, they don't respect. Respect has not been taught to them, and it's just it's gonna destroy us. It's what has us in the state that we're in, and it says the women rule over them. I talked to a cop, and this cop told me they're trained to, when they go in the house, look for the oldest woman in the house, and that's who runs their household. You know, that they train them on that, and that's true. You know, so all right, so let's keep pressing on. And then the other thing is, most men, like when I really get into this stuff, you always have some feminized dude coming in, and they don't even realize this. Like, they don't see it. And they're like, oh, well, everybody equal in you, and love, and hugs and kisses and love. And they don't realize that they've been feminized and that they're passive or whatever the issue is. And they don't realize that they've been brainwashed. That's why God, one of the big things is God tells us that pride is the thing that blinds you from seeing this in yourself. And if you don't see it in yourself, you can't go any further than that. Okay? So in this society, like I said earlier, a strong black man who leads, who's a leader, who's masculine in this society, it's considered a bad thing. You know, look at all the TV shows and all that stuff. You know, they don't show, you can't find a strong black man who's a righteous leader. You can't find it. That's what, it's like, even me coming into this truth and learning all this, I had to search all over the place, because even in the Hebrew Israelite community, you really don't, a lot of people are not teaching this. They'll have their wife sitting right there. There's a couple people got their wife sitting right there next to them, and when they come to these scriptures, they won't teach it. They won't say the man has to be the head and be running the show. They won't teach it. And it's just clearly written all through the Bible. But like I said, it's this society, the pressure is so strong on the man, you know, not being the head and the woman being the head. And it's like dudes just like floating in the water. Dudes don't like most of the men out here, they don't like swimming. They just want to float in the water and they're drowning and they won't swim, you know, and men need to man up and start swimming and see this thing. Like when you see this going on around, you got to realize what the situation is. And just a word of advice, a word of warning, when you finally do decide to man up and be a real man, the whole world is going to come against you. Everything around you is going to come against you. You got and put you down and say, hey, you this, you that, you the other, this, that, and other. So you got to really be grounded on this thing on a deep level, because TV is going to be talking against you. The church is going to be, oh, it's love. You wicked. You shouldn't be, you know. Everybody's going to come against you. You got to stand firm. And so you have to really know, you got to not understand, not overstand, but you got to understand. This has to be ingrained in you, because it's going to challenge everything in you. And even your emotions might be telling you, well, yeah, maybe I should back down. But you got to know this in your spirit, okay? So, because I'm telling you, this is the brainwashing. What was that? In certain situations, no, I don't. Like when I know for sure I'm right, and it's one of those situations, I don't. But in other things, I'm very flexible. You know what I'm saying? That was my wife telling me I don't back down sometimes. You know what I'm saying? I don't put weight on what people say. Like when folks is talking, I don't put a lot of weight on that. You know, it says you will know them by their fruits. And you know, so when somebody's coming at me with something, it's like I use the word, because a word is a discerner of the thoughts and intents of people's hearts. So I use the word and I observe, and you can pretty much narrow down exactly where anybody's coming from. Like people think they slick and people think you ain't on to them, but a little bit of gray hair and studying the word and actually putting the word into action in your life, and people can't pull the okie doke on you. They can't fool you. You can see them coming a mile away. You just sit back and look what they're doing, and you know who people are, you know where they're coming from, you know. So, you know, and I'm saying that because, you know, dudes do a lot of talking, and it's like clowns. I don't entertain clowns. I let the clowns entertain me, because that's what they're for. Clowns are for entertainment. You shouldn't be entertaining clowns. When somebody shows that they're a clown, okay, stop entertaining them. They're for entertainment. Just sit there and watch them entertain you, you know. And I don't waste my time at the circus. So you understand what that means. You get all that. All right. So like I was saying earlier, women are deceived to go after, women are deceived to go after money at the cost of their family. Okay? And what this society is doing is catering to a woman's natural nature to want to be provided for and to be led, and her desire to want security and all that. Well, they use that nature of her to kill off her family, to run the man off, to, you know what I'm saying? And like her desire to want to look good for her man and stuff like that. Me and my wife are watching this documentary and this teaching about hair and how a woman would go without food to get some weave. And then we more or less witnessed it firsthand. You know, I'm not going to go into all that, but it's like, so they deceived them with vain lusts, really. You know what I'm saying? And the one lady was saying that hair ain't cheap. What was she saying about something about buying it 3 times a month or something?
Oh yeah. Like
but how much?
The cost of a bundle of hair, for bundles of hair, is like $600 to $700.
Wait, whoa.
And then you have to pay someone to install it for like.
Wait. You said it costs how much?
$600 to $700.
That's how much
for
that.
the good human hair.
Wow.
And then
I didn't know that.
They have it installed, which is an additional $200 to $500. Yes. And
I did not know that hair could cost that much. $700?
Yes.
I didn't.
$700, yeah, depending on what type of hair you buy.
I thought that hair that them women would be buying was $60 or something, and that's too much. You know what I'm saying? Because I don't even like spending I won't pay a man $10 to cut my hair. I cut my hair myself because that's a waste of money to me. So $60, but you said in the hundreds for hair. I never knew that.
Yeah.
Okay, that's crazy. And our women they'll spend they said the hair is recession proof. Like even in bad times, they'll keep that hair right. So, so I wrote here, the media encourages the worst personality qualities in men and women. And really what they encourage is pride, is this prideful mindset that, oh, you need to be serving me and all that. And like I said, I've been in the work world so long and I've seen a lot of black folks come and go with that mindset. And I had it to a certain degree. And the military beat it out of me the tough way. Like I learned the hard, painful, humiliating way that, hey, you need to respect people and be humble. I learned that the painful, hard way. Okay. And I wrote, the good life skills are alien to our people. Okay, life skills and just how to do things and deal with people and all that is alien to us. You know, we don't, but the Word of God has the perfect life skills. And we're going to be forced to get back in it or die, basically. Because that's what this society's coming to. I got this verse here. This is Amos chapter 3, verse 3. It says, can two walk together except they be agreed? So real fast, what I'm getting into now, and I'm going to wrap this one up so Brother Adonai could get up here, is dealing with people who have the same mindset. You know, like-minded believers. When you're, and this might be a slight change of the subject, but I'm gonna just hit on this real quick because I think it's so important and it made me realize whether it's in friendship or business or whatever, you need to look to deal with like-minded believers. You need to begin to attract like-minded believers, people who are agreed, like I said, threefold cord is not easily broken and stuff. You need to be on one accord with your mindset and your understanding of people you deal with. Otherwise, and this is just basic, you can see this. This is Bible stuff, but you can see the practicality and how logical it is. Because if when you're dealing with somebody who got the same mindset, say, you begin doing business with them, or you got to lend them something or whatever, you can trust that, hey, we got the same mindset in this book. So I could guarantee he's gonna give this back when it's done, or if we go into business or do some type of business together, I already know his mindset, or whatever it is. That trust is there. When you're dealing with folks with doctrines that's off, or morally off, or people that's in the world, you don't know what you're gonna get. Okay, and it's gonna be ugly. You could get up, you get in a bad situation. And Brother Adonai, who posted this or messaged me with this, and I thought it was very. You remember you posted that? It says your culture is your identity, okay? And your identity is your culture, and your religion, or so-called religion, is your identity and your culture. And all culture is all that, and it is who you are, and your culture is what shows you how to deal with people, how to run your family. You know, that's what we're teaching here, is culture, you know, the perfect culture. Y'all get in this book, y'all gave us the perfect culture to live by. You know what I'm saying? And you gotta learn to get your emotions out of it, and learn to wrap your mind around it, because it's the perfect way to be. Because this thing they got here in America is a hot mess. It's a disaster. And you can see it beginning to culminate and come to an end, because it can't last. With the disease, with the drugs, with the pollution, well, you name it, here in America, it's going down the drain. It's not gonna work. Okay, so so yeah, I kind of cut it short. I had a lot there, but I'm gonna kind of I'll probably do continue this lesson and teaching on this next week. And if you guys have any questions, and real quick, I want to I got another verse I'm gonna try to hit on. It's Ecclesiasticus 30 verse 8. Let me see if I could pull up the whole, because that whole thing is just a good thing to, if you're raising children, this is a good verse. Let me see if I can pull it up here. Baby, what you do with my Apocrypha?
It's right there.
Okay.
This first cubby hole right here.
Can you grab it, please? Yeah, I'm going to just read it out of the Apocrypha, and then we will wrap this up. Okay, so we get, it's Ecclesiasticus 30 verse 8. Okay. Let me and now you could begin getting set up. It says a horse not broken becometh headstrong. You gotta break these children, and I'm not talking about no Vietnamese death camp type stuff, but you gotta keep them humble. And it's like, that's why it's so imperative to have a man in the house, because a man he can spot real quick when somebody challenging and disrespecting him and challenging his authority, because men are real kind of territorial, kind of like that testosterone in a man. He could peep when somebody challenging him or whatever. I don't know what the best word for that is, but I'm sure you understand what I said. It says, and a child left to himself will be willful. It says, conquer the child, and he shall make thee afraid. Play with him, and he will bring thee to heaviness. So they're not your friends and all this. Like, you see that thing they got on TV. I don't know if it's a show or something, but it was Sweet 16, where I guess each week they show kids having these Sweet 16 parties. That ain't happening up in here. Like, these girls will be lucky to get a cupcake when that happens. I want them figuring out what they're going to do in their future. But it says, laugh not with him, lest thou have sorrow with him, and lest thou garnish thy teeth in the end. Give him no liberty in his youth, and wink not at his follies. And it's funny because this society will have you up there feeling bad. Well, maybe I was too hard on her, you know. But then all I need to do is watch the news or watch Tommy Sotomayor and watch a couple of them disastrous videos of how some of these women are doing with their kids, or just look at some of these Facebook posts of some of the crazy stuff our men are doing, and I know to be tough on them. This ain't Disney World time for my kids. It says, bow down his neck while he is young, and beat him on the sides while he is a child, lest he wax stubborn and be disobedient unto thee, and so bring sorrow to thine heart. Chasten thy son and hold him to labor. And I am a staunch believer in child labor up in this house. These kids wash clothes, they help their mama cook, they vacuum, they sweep, they clean. They put my clothes in the dryer, whatever. We keep it going up in here. You know what I'm saying? Lest his lewd behavior be an offense unto thee. Better is the poor being sound and and that what I did, I read Ecclesiasticus chapter 30, verse 8 through 13. But read Ecclesiasticus. It gives you life skills, work skills, all that. It's good. But what we're going to do, I'm going to get set up for Brother Adonai. He's bringing out a lesson on basically our Hebrew culture and how Hebrew marriage, how it differs so far from this Greco-Roman marriage thing they have here. Okay, so we're gonna get into that, and hopefully I'm gonna talk to him and he'll let me add in some stuff if I can, if we have time. But let me get it set up. I'm gonna put on some Exodus Productions, and we'll be back in a second. All right, Shabbat Shalom, y'all. We're back, and I'm gonna turn things over to Brother Adanahu. Let me reposition his mic real quick. Go ahead, say test real quick.
Testing.
Okay, so what I'm gonna do is pull up and let me see. Yeah, you could pull the chair up here. Actually, that'll work better. Just pull the chair up, and I'll let you control it from right here. And if I need to change anything, I could just use this pad.
Mm-hmm.
But
All right, before we get started, let's pray. Facing
okay, we're gonna pray facing east.
Barukata Yahuwah Aleinu Malaka Alam. Yahuwah, we give you thanks and we give you all honor, praise, and esteem. We thank you for the Shabbat. That is a sign and a covenant between you and Yisrael from generation to generation forever. Help us to keep and guard your Shabbat as you have required. We ask that you would be pleased with us. Help us to live our lives in a way that is pleasing in your sight. Help us to fulfill all your Torah. We ask for your Ruach HaKodesh to lead us into all truth, that we may be light, that we may be salt in the earth, that we may be a delight in your sight, Yahuwah. Yahuwah, teach us your ways and help us to transform our minds, that we would remove the mindset and the strongholds of the enemy, the mindset and the strongholds of this world, and be conformed to your Torah. To you be all esteem, honor, and praise. And you are our Savior, our Aleim, our King, and besides you there is none other. To you be all esteem, honor, and praise. B'Shem Yehusha HaMashiach, Ath-Sham Yahuwah, Brukabah B'Shem Yahuwah. Hallelujah.
Hallelujah. All right, so what I'm gonna do, pull up, and I'm pretty sure, yeah, it looks pretty good, so I'm sure you guys can see that on there. So in there. So what you want to do? Hey, turn your seat towards the TV, because that's what you're gonna be controlling it from there. Yeah.
Shabbat Shalom, Mishpachah. This is Adinahu Yisrael. And again, we're continuing with instructions in righteousness, investigating the teachings that our Creator Yahuwah has given us in His Torah regarding all things in life. And we talked about before in previous lessons about culture and what culture is, what culture includes, the way that we govern ourselves. The culture includes the way that we do our relationships, our value systems, pretty much every walk of life that's affected by our worldview. So I wanted to really deal on this subject about relationships, marriage, and come at it from a biblical Hebraic viewpoint. Because most of us have grown up in this Western Greco-Roman society, so a lot of our ideas, a lot of our concepts are coming from the West. So when we read the Bible, when we read the Tanakh, when we read the Torah, a lot of times we superimpose a Western mindset upon a Hebraic books, so that causes a lot of conflict. It causes a lot of misunderstanding. So what we have to do is no longer be conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewing of our minds, and no longer be double-minded. A lot of us are still double-minded, even when we come into this truth, when we come into the identity of being an Israelite or an Hebrew or a Hebrew. We still maintain a lot of the teachings or the ways of the Greeks and the Romans. But we have to be transformed, and we have to be renewed in our minds. Okay, so we're going to try to tackle this subject of marriage. What really is marriage according to the Torah? And when we tackle these issues, we have to understand that a lot of the words that we use may not actually be the correct translations or direct translations from the words that are used in Hebrew. So we're going to begin with the understanding of the words husband and wife. All right, if we're going to talk about marriage, usually we're talking about husbands and wives. Okay, so if we look at the etymology or the origin of these words, and anyone can do the research, you know, for example, you can find the origin of words on etymology.com. If you type in husband, you know, you'll get the origin or the original meaning of the word husband. If you type in wife, it will give you the original meaning of the word wife. So I got Mike here, my brother beside me. So if a person comes to you and says that, talks about a husband, what is that connotation? What does the word husband mean to you?
To me, the husband, the man of the house or whatever, you know, husband and wife.
Okay, what makes a man a husband?
They get married.
Okay. All right, and what about a wife? What's a wife?
That's, yeah, to help me, but I mean not in American society.
Yeah, typically in this society, that's what I'm talking about.
Husband and wife are two people who get married, a male and a female who get married.
Okay. Now, if you look up the etymology, the origin of the word husband, the original meaning of husband is actually master of the house. That's what husband means, master of the house.
Wow.
In English. Now, I'm talking about the English meaning. Okay. I'm not even getting into the Hebrew yet.
Yeah.
The original English meaning of the word husband means master of the house. The original English meaning of wife simply is woman. Right? So, you see, a lot of these words, you know, since we're now in 2017, we bring a lot of connotations that are not actually bound to these words, extra baggage to these words, that and expectations to these words that, if you look at their actual meaning or their origin, are totally different than the way that we use them today. Okay? And actually, the original meanings of these words, husband, master of the house, and wife being woman, these are very similar, if not, you know, exact to the Hebrew. Okay? Typically, in Hebrew, when you see the word husband translated there in the English, the actual word there in Hebrew is Baal, which means Lord or Master. And for wife, when you see that in the Bible, in the Hebrew, actually, it will be Asha, which is literally means woman. Okay. So to understand what actually is marriage, okay? So Mike, a person says they're married. What does that mean?
When a person is married,
Yeah. What does that mean?
you said your vows and you got married and y'all together.
Covenant.
Yeah, you're in a covenant. You together.
Okay.
You know.
All right. So now we need to see what does it mean to be married according to the biblical Hebrew mindset. And when I was researching this, and anyone can do this, you know, you have plenty of tools online and offline that can help you, you know, research, you know, the words and translations. But in the Hebrew, not in the Greek, they have words that specifically mean marriage. But in the Hebrew, there is, when you look at where it says marry or marriage, or, you know, this person is married to so-and-so, the word there is not marriage. And I have not found a biblical Hebrew word that directly translates to the word marriage.
And as far, so did you say the definition of the word marriage?
And I haven't said it
Because
yet.
I was.
Or in Hebrew, yeah.
No, in English.
In English, well, it's basically what you said. You
Oh, okay,
know,
okay.
they change vows, all this kind of
Okay.
stuff. Okay. All right. So let's see what the scripture actually says, where we see the word marriage or marry or something like that.
So you're looking over there.
Okay.
There you go.
All right, I'm not seeing the cursor.
Here, over there on the right near Israel.
Oh, okay, I see.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, so first we're going to look at some of these passages. All right, so first we're going to go to Bereshit, or Genesis chapter 19. Okay, and that will be starting on verse 14. Okay. So we're going to look at these different examples of how these words are used that are actually translated in English as marry or married or marriage. Okay, so Genesis chapter 19 verse 14. And Lot went out and spake unto his sons-in-law, which married his daughters, and said, Up, get you out of this place, for Yahuwah will destroy the city. But he seemed as one that mocked unto his sons-in-law. Okay, so this is talking about the story about, you know, Lot and his family in Sodom and Gomorrah, and he knows that it's about to be destroyed, so he's trying to get his sons-in-laws out of the city, but they think he's just joking around. Okay, so it says here, which were married to his daughters. Okay, so let's look at this word married. So we go over here. It's Hebrew, is H3947, which is lakach, and it means to take. Okay, so to be married is to take. You understand? So we'll get into why the Hebrew is to take. Okay. So we're going to go to another passage where this same word is used. So we're going to go to Numbers.
To take.
Chapter 12. in verse 1. Okay? And Miriam and Aharon spake unto Masha, or Moses, because of the Ethiopian or Cushite woman whom he had married. For he had married an Ethiopian or Cushite woman. Okay, so we see in English it says married. So again, all we have to do is go look at the root word. And again, it's the same root word, meaning to take.
Okay.
So if we were to translate it literally, it would be Miriam and Aaron spoke against Moses because of the Cushite woman whom he had taken. Okay, you see? And so, and again, here again, it's again the same word, lachach, which means to take. For he had taken a Cushite woman. So that's literally, if you translated it directly from the Hebrew, is he had taken a Cushite woman.
So when you say taken, it almost sounds like she didn't have a choice.
Well,
we had technical difficulties, and everybody have to bear with us till I get in this other house where I will have a hardwired computer, and this thing will be done differently. It'll definitely be a better. I have it hardwired in. A lot of stuff will change.
It sounds aggressive. Take.
All right, let me see if we're back on. Yeah, we're back on. So, and you guys type in if you can hear us on there, because we had a little technical difficulty. So just type in if you could hear us. It looks like everything's back up and good. All right, so. All right, go ahead, Brother Adonai.
okay. So we see that in regards to the master or the husband or the Baal, the word for being married is...
We're good. They said they could hear us, so we're good.
Okay.
Sorry about that.
Is to take. All right, so what does it mean to take a woman, or to take, you know, it says, you know, they're talking about to take this woman, right?
Mm-hmm.
So what does that actually mean? So we're going to get it from the other perspective. All right, we're going to go back to Bereshit or Genesis, and we're going to look at another word that is translated as married or marriage. So we're going to go to Genesis chapter 34. All right, and verse 9. Okay, so this is Genesis chapter 34, verse 9, and it says, "And make you marriages with us, and give your daughters unto us, and our daughters unto you." So we see the word marriages in English. Okay, this is talking about the episode where Shechem had taken Dinah and basically raped her, and then he fell in love with her and wanted to take her as his own. So they're like, okay, you know, make marriages with us and we'll become one nation, basically. All right, so let's look at this word that's translated in English as marriages. Okay, and that's the H2859, that's kacham, and it means to give a daughter away. to give a daughter away. Okay, so first we looked at lakach, which means to take, and that's from the man or the master's perspective. Now we see to give a daughter away. This is from the father's perspective. Okay, so let's see how again this is used in other places. Let's go to Deuteronomy chapter 7 in verse 3. And this is where Yahuwah is telling us not to mix with other nations. It says, "Neither shall you make marriages with them. Thy daughter thou shalt not give unto his son, nor his daughter shall thou take unto thy son." Okay? So again, when you look at that word marriages, in English, in the Hebrew, is chatan, which means to give a daughter away in marriage. To give a daughter away. Okay? And here, interesting enough, it says, "Thy daughter thou shalt not give unto his son." So the daughter is being given, nor shall his daughter shall thou take unto thy son. So the son is taking the daughter. All right, the daughter is given, and the son is taking the woman. You see? All right, and again we'll go to the book of Joshua. Chapter 23. Verse 12. Okay. So again, this is Joshua chapter 23, verse 12. "Else if you do in any wise go back and cleave unto the remnant of these nations, even these that remain among you, and shall make marriages with them, and go in unto them, and they unto you." So again, this word that's translated as marriages in English, again is chatan, which means to give a daughter away. Okay? So we've seen it from the master or the man's perspective. We've seen it from the father's perspective. Now we're going to see it from the woman's perspective. And we're going to go to Numbers. Chapter 36. Start in verse 3. Okay. Alright, so this is talking about the daughters and saying, "If they be married to any of the sons of other tribes of the children of Israel." So you see married in the English. Alright, but when we look at the Hebrew words that are used, is haya, which means to be, and then we say isha, which means isha means woman. So it means, and if they be the woman of any of the sons of the tribes of Israel. So it just means to be the woman of, and it's translated as marriage. Okay, and we can see that again in verse 6, verse 11, and verse 12. Okay, so really, what does all this, why are we really getting into this, and what's the nitty-gritty of this? People say that, marriage is a covenant. Well, there is a marriage covenant, but that isn't what marriage actually means. Okay? if you want to, because we talk about having a ketubah, we talk about having a marriage feast or a wedding feast, and all these other things that are attached to this event of a man and woman coming together and making a family. But if you want to strip it down to the bare bones minimum, it is the woman is being given by the father to the man. That is, in Hebrew culture, what it means to be married.
Now, is there a requirement? Maybe you're going to get into that later.
We'll get into some of the other aspects of this, but the basic bare bones is the woman has been given to the man. Okay. Now, because we're going to get into what actually is fornication, because there are a lot of people that are calling things marriage that are not marriage, and they're calling things not marriage that actually are marriage. They're calling things fornication that are not fornication, and they're calling things that are not fornication, fornication. All right, so we got a lot of, confusion going on. For example, you have some people teaching that if a man lays with a woman, that woman is his wife. All right, that's not true. If the father or whatever authority has not given that woman to that man, they're not married. In fact, that would be considered, that's actually robbery, that's stealing, because you're taking something that does not belong to you. That's theft. Okay? So we'll get into some of these things, but again, for example, a man and a woman in this country can go to the altar without the father's blessing, without the father's permission. They can get a marriage license and be legally declared married in this culture. But according to the Torah, they are not married if the father does not accept that union. If the father said, no, I don't want you to be with this man, then there's no way for them to get married. So we're talking about in the instance where there is a father there. Okay. There are instances where the woman is an orphan or something like that. Yeah. But, probably 9 times out of 10, there is a father figure there. All right? So, you can see how this can get very tricky because it goes against the grain of this society. That people can be legally married in this society, and the father has voiced his condemnation of that union, but they're still seen as being man and woman. And in fact, that is fornication. That is fornication. Okay? So, now let's get into some different issues dealing with these things so we can maybe shed some more light on this. Okay. Let's go to Exodus, and we'll just hit a few points. Exodus chapter 22. We'll start in verse 13. And if there are any questions, then let me know.
Now, if it is an acceptable union between the father and the husband,
Mm-hmm.
and so does the wife take on her husband's last name, or does she still remain Yasharah?
Well, I mean, last names. I mean,
how does that?
That's really.
Because that shows possession.
Well, I mean, that's really customary.
Okay.
Because, for example, how to say, the woman's last name doesn't really matter because the children will have the father's last name, and that's really the point. Okay, it's good. I mean, in this society, you know, to show that she belongs to the man, it's nice to have. But the point of the name is the last name is showing the lineage.
Okay.
That's really the real point of the last name. So like, you know, you have, for example, Joshua. His name is Yehusha bin Nun. Bin Nun means he's the son of Nun. Alright, so of course his son would carry the name bin Yehusha, because his father's name is Yehusha. Joshua is Yehusha in Hebrew, right? So it's really that's more of a tradition, you know, taking the last name and all that kind of stuff. But okay, so we're in Exodus chapter 22. I'm gonna start reading in verse 13. All right, is that the right one? Oh, sorry, that's not verse 16. Sorry. All right. If a man entice a maid that is not betrothed and lie with her, he shall surely endow her to be his wife. Okay. So this is the law that Yahuwah has instituted in Yisrael. If a man entice a maid is talking about a virgin. Okay? It's not talking about any kind of woman. It's talking about a virgin that is not betrothed. In other words, no other man has claim on her. And lie with her, he shall surely endow her to be his wife. Okay, and this is where these brothers come with, you know, sex as marriage type doctrine, but they're taking it out of context. Because if you just read in the next verse, if her father utterly refused to give her unto him, he shall pay money according to the dowry of virgins. Okay? So it's up to the father. If a man lays with a virgin and the father says, dude, I don't like you, then he doesn't get that woman, but he still has to pay for that bride price of her virginity.
Hey, but real quick, something that needs to be said is like a whole bunch of stuff. Like in today's society, oh, that's like, and they say, oh, they treat women like nothing, and this, that, and the other. And why are they selling her like she's a possession? And they ask all these questions, but you got to think of something. Back in that society, a woman was an asset. Like women today are like a gold chain or something. You spend all this money getting it, and it just sits there and looks good, but it's not doing nothing for you. Like when you get into the Hebraic culture, a woman bought. She was a helpmeet. She cooked your food. She'd help you. You know, she made your life easier. Today, with this Greco-Roman beast society, women are a burden, and they've brainwashed women into thinking that they should be worshipped. It's just Satan. Same thing he did in the garden, you know. So a lot of people have a hard time wrapping their head around this, and the father pays all the money for the wedding in this society, right? That's how it works, right, Koya? That doesn't the
It's a contribution from both parties.
No, there's a rule. The husband's, I mean the daughter's father is supposed in this society, yeah.
But
that's what I'm saying. Everything.
You know, do that.
Well, white folks do it.
Well,
Because I hear about them spending
Yeah.
$10,000 or whatever.
yeah.
So all that to say, things are turned totally upside down. And like, if you watch Oprah, oh, back in those days, they treated women like garbage and this, that, and the other, you know. So,
Well, I mean, one of the ideas behind it is that, you know, you didn't have really a time where people didn't work in some capacity.
Right.
For example, if the sons would work out in the field, the girls would work in the house doing house chores. So it wasn't a time where, you know, there was, you know, people just sitting idle.
Right.
Okay?
Exactly.
So when the father is giving her daughter to a man, he's losing help in his house.
Yes, that's right. That's
You see?
absolutely right.
that's good.
Okay?
Good job, guys.
And the other family is gaining help in their house. You see? So this is more of the
Today they're
mindset.
like, take her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, you know, but here in Exodus 22, it talks about that there's a dowry of virgins. In other words, if a man takes a woman that is a virgin, there's an understanding that he has to pay something for that. Now, whatever they discuss, or between the man and woman, I mean the man and the father, about how much he needs to pay. But if you look at our father Jacob, he worked 7 years.
Yep.
Okay, so think about that.
Actually, twice.
Yeah, for two women, so that's
Yeah.
7 years for each woman, right? So, and both of them, of course, were virgins.
Yeah.
So think about that. Think of, you know, hopefully all of us have jobs or have our businesses. You know, think about 7 years of your labor, whether you're working for someone else or you're working for yourself. 7 years of your labor that you're paying to get a woman.
Wow.
And then you, a lot of these women today, you'll spend the rest of your life
I'll get rid of them.
trying to pay it all off. The divorce.
Okay, so that's why I say, you know, a ketubah. You know, people say that ketubah is the marriage. The ketubah is not the marriage. The marriage, or really, I mean, if we're going to use the English word, is to be the father giving the man his daughter.
Right.
Now, the reason why a man would want a ketubah is this very exact reason. You know, if you go and you purchase a laptop from the computer store, you don't want to leave the store without having a receipt, right? If you go and you buy a car, you don't want to leave the dealership without having some proof of purchase, right?
Right.
All right. Again, with a house, you don't want to put down money on a house and not have proof that you have ownership of that house.
Right.
Okay. So again, think about 7 years of labor that you're paying for this woman. So of course you want to have something in writing to say, look, this woman is my woman.
Right.
So if she tries to fool around on me, I got papers to prove it, and I'm going to deal with her accordingly. Okay? All right? But the ketubah itself is not what constitutes the marriage. All right? What constitutes the marriage is the woman is being given from the father to the man. Okay? All right, so again, according to our culture, it's expected that a man pay something for a virgin. So you see it today, a lot of Yashara, a lot of Hebrews are going around getting something for nothing.
Right.
And they use them and they abuse them.
Yep.
But imagine you paid 7 years labor for this woman. You're going to abuse that woman?
You're going to fight the keeper, too.
That's why it talks about, you know, the jealousy of the husband.
Right.
Right? You paid 7 years of your hard work and you let another man touch her?
Right.
Yeah, and it's just it's hard, and I know how people feel, because it's hard to wrap your head around, because most men can't even fathom the concept of a woman being an asset to them in this society, because they can't, except, for some puss, that's it.
Yeah, and that's the thing. And so we're gonna get to.
Well, and the women need to know that they should be thinking that they are supposed to be an asset to the man.
Yeah, yeah. But they villainize that in this society. Being a woman that does the womanly things. Yeah. They think, oh, you're like Oprah. Oh, what are you? Are you back in the Stone Age?
Okay. All right. So we're gonna hit another passage dealing with.
You got to scroll over there.
Okay.
Just scroll it over. That's all you do. So you're there.
Okay. Any questions over there?
Let me see. Let's see.
Go over to Deuteronomy. And go to chapter 22. Start on verse 13. Okay, so there's another thing is, a lot of these, I don't call a Hebrew just because they're in the truth, because Hebrew is not a religion, it's a ethnicity. So all our people, whether they're in the truth or not, they're Hebrew people, they're Hebrew. Okay? So there are a lot of Ibrim, or Hebrews, that are not doing this correctly. That the father must give his daughter away to a man, for that man to have rights to that woman. And when the father gives the daughter away, it's expected that that man house her. Okay? It's not that that woman is still living with her father. So this whole dating scene where, teenagers or however old they may be are going out, dating and then coming back to their parents' house.
Right.
That's not our culture. If a woman goes out to a man, she stays with that man. She ain't coming back to the house. Okay? And we'll get on that because it's called prostituting your daughter. Okay? And we'll get to that passage there. But before we get there, I'm going to hit Deuteronomy chapter 22. We're going to start in verse 13.
And just to hit on what you said, I seen, like, when I was in the Air Force, and like, because I don't believe in sending your kids off to college and all that, because I seen women lose their minds over the wrong dude and not have an understanding. Like I seen this girl literally go crazy. 2 girls go crazy in there. 3 actually. I'm sure if I really think a ton more, but yeah, man. And I've seen a lot of dudes commit suicide over women over my life and in the military. So Yeah, man, it's imperative to if you don't have your father to pick the man out or whatever and all that, then have your holy father do it by studying this word so you pick the right one.
Yeah.
Well,
And I mean, and again, it was typical. I mean, it wasn't unusual in our society, in our culture, for the man to even choose the woman. It was his parents that chose the woman. Because they had the experience and knew, okay, this is the kind of woman my son needs. Okay, so we'll start in verse 13. If any man take a wife, again, he's taking a woman, and go in unto her and hate her, and give occasion of speech against her, bring up an evil name upon her, and say, I took this woman. Again, the word is taking, right?
And that's what it says there. Okay, I got you.
Actually, in English, it's actually correct.
And is that the same word that you had pulled up earlier? The H3947?
Yeah, that's lakap, to take.
Cool.
It's the same word.
Wow.
You see how the same word here is correct. It's literal translation, but in other places it's translated as married.
Yeah. To make it work in the English, I guess.
Right.
Okay.
Okay. And give occasions of speech against her, and bring up an evil name upon her, and say, I took this woman, and when I came to her, I found her not a maid. Okay, so this instance where a man has taken a woman, and he is now accusing her of not being a virgin. Okay, that's what maid means, virgin. Then shall the father of the damsel and her mother take and bring forth the tokens of the damsel's virginity unto the elders of the city in the gate. Okay, and the damsel's father shall say unto the elders, I gave my daughter unto this man to wife, and he hates her. So again, the daughter is given.
What's the wife?
That's a shah, or woman.
Oh.
To be his woman, right? Okay. And lo, he has given occasions of speech against her, saying, I found not your daughter a maid or a virgin, and yet these are the tokens of my daughter's virginity, and they shall spread the cloth before the elders of the city. So to explain what's going on the night of the consummation of this relationship, the man and woman would lie on top of a sheet. And when the relationship is consummated, they come together, the blood of her virginity would be upon that sheet. And that sheet would be given to the woman's parents as proof of her virginity. Okay? So they would keep this in case, you know, something like this would come up, and they the man would say, oh, well, she wasn't a virgin. And they would have this as proof and say, look, this is proof that she was a virgin.
And if they didn't have any proof, what were the consequences?
Well, we'll see.
Stones.
Right.
Okay, and again, this isn't in a case where the woman was expected to be a virgin. If the man already knows that she wasn't a virgin before, you know, she was given to him, then of course he can't do anything about that.
Right, if she was widowed or something.
Right. Okay. The elders of that city shall take that man and chastise him. So the parents bring this proof of her virginity on the sheet, and the elders see it. Then the man should be punished for, you know, bringing a false accusation against the woman. And they shall immerse him 100 shekels of silver, and give them unto the father of the damsel, because he has brought an evil name upon a virgin of Jezreel. And she shall be his wife, he may not put her away all his days. So if he does this, he's fined money, and now he's not allowed to put her away. But if this thing be true, and the tokens of virginity be not found for the damsel, then they shall bring out the damsel to the door of the father's house, and the men of her city shall stone her with stones, that she die, because she has wrought folly in Yisrael, to play the whore in her father's house. So shall you put away evil from among you. So again, put the whore in her father's house, meaning that she was having sexual relations while she was still living with her parents. That's why, you know, this whole dating scene, your parents know that the daughter is going out and probably
Whoring.
you know, engaging in sexual activities and then coming back home at night. That's not our culture.
Whore.
If she's going out, she stays out with that man. She's not coming back to the house. Okay?
And then it's funny, like when you, and I haven't even went real deep into the sexual culture of the Romans, but it was, I know, like some of the holidays, like Valentine's Day and all that, they just real free with sex and didn't put any restrictions on it.
Right. Yeah, they say hot
And
dog
that's how it
frog.
is. And that's how it is today.
Yeah.
The bed is undefiled.
Yeah.
No.
And that's how it is today.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Because they'll excuse anything except for righteousness. If you're trying to do things righteously, then you're you know, put on blast.
Right.
Okay. If a damsel, okay, so that's about that, and now let's go into a different subject. If a damsel that is a virgin be betrothed unto a husband, and a man find her in the city and lies with her, then you shall bring them both out unto the gate of that city, and you shall stone them with stones, that they die. The damsel because she cried not, being in the city, and the man because he humbled his neighbor's wife. So you shall put away evil from among you. Okay? So this is a woman being betrothed. So this is a woman who's still a virgin, but a man has a claim on her. So in other words, the man has not come to take her into his house yet, but he still has claim on her. So if another man lie with her, they're in a city, and she doesn't cry out, you know, calling for help.
Right.
That means she was, you
She
know,
liked it.
she was part of that.
Exactly.
Then both of them are stoned.
Right. She
Okay.
consented to it.
Right.
Right.
But in this society, if you don't technically have marriage papers, then everything's okay. They say,
And
well,
if you do have marriage papers, everything's okay.
but the you know, people will condemn that, even though they do it anyway.
Yeah, but there's no punishment for it.
Yeah, there's no punishment for it. But you know,
Yeah,
people,
you're right.
girls will say, "Well, I'm not married," but you had 5 kids with the same dude. Yeah, you are married.
You just don't know it yet.
Well, even in the what is it called, the common law?
Yeah.
Yeah. So after so long, you know, the
Yes.
courts give you a
There's, you know, people try to find every excuse to do what they feel like doing.
right.
Yep.
All right.
Land of the free, home of the slaves.
But if a man find a betrothed damsel in the field, so the first one was in the city, now it's in the field, and the man force her and lie with her, then the man only that lay with her shall die. But unto the damsel you shall do nothing. There is the damsel no sin worthy of death, for as when a man rises against his neighbor and slays him, even so is this matter. So if this thing happens out in the field, then the woman is considered innocent because there's no one around to help her. But if it was in the city and she didn't cry for help, then she gets stoned along with the man. Okay. But this to show you that even a woman having a claim on her is defended even to the death. Even if the man has not taken her into his house to consummate the relationship, he's been promised that woman, or they've made an agreement with that family, that woman is considered his property. So if any man touch her, that is the same as...
And you see Yah is big on those covenants, them agreements.
Mm-hmm. That even if they don't have a ketubah, that there are words spoken. And we're supposed to be a people of our words.
Right.
Okay. Alright, so to finish that, the one in the field. For he found her in the field, and the betrothed damsel cried, and there was none to save her. So explaining why she's spared in that instance. Okay? If a man find a damsel that is a virgin, which is not betrothed, and lay hold on her, and lie with her, and they be found, then the man that lay with her shall give unto the damsel father 50 shekels of silver, and she shall be his wife, because he has humbled her. He may not put her away all his days. So this needs to be combined with what we read before. It's the same instance that, he lay with a virgin. Now it's actually naming the price. And we also know from the verse that we read before that if the father doesn't agree, he still has to pay the price, but he doesn't get the woman. Okay? But if the father agrees to give him the daughter, then he's not allowed to put her away. Because he did it in such a way. He raped her, basically. Instead of making an agreement with the father, doing it righteously, then the man is allowed to give a bill of divorce if, things go sour. But in this case, he's not allowed to put her away. A man shall not take his father's wife, nor discover his father's skirt. Okay, that's pretty self-explanatory. So,
you see here, you got all types of crazy marriages going on now here. like I saw one where the mother became a man and the daughter became something weird like that. The son became a woman. It was crazy. But you see all types of crazy stuff now. It's a joke.
It's all off the chain now. No restraint. But again, 50 shekels of silver, that's real money. And that's not dollar bills. That's not banknotes. Right. That's real money that you have to pay. And if the father doesn't agree, you still got to pay that. All right. So, these brothers that coming up with this doctrine that you lay with a woman and she becomes your wife, you paying 50 shekels equivalent of silver to the father?
You paying a dowry?
What does that equate to?
Go look up what silver's worth. Right now, silver's worth $17 an ounce.
Oh,
so
wow.
You figure maybe a shekel is an ounce? I don't know. And I know gold is like 1,000. It's something insane.
Yeah, we can look that up. We can look that up.
It's hefty.
Yeah, we can find it.
And purposely so, that's a...
Yeah. Again, if you look at the example of Jacob, it was 7 years of labor. Yeah. So I don't know if 50 shekels is the same amount. I don't know.
That's a good point. Maybe it is. Yeah, maybe it's 7-year wage,
All right. Okay, so let's go over to still in Deuteronomy. Let's go to chapter 24. We'll read starting verse 1. Okay? When a man has taken a wife, so again, taken a wife is a shower woman. So when a man has taken a woman and married her, so let's look at that word married, is Baal. So Baal means to rule or to be a master. Okay, that's literally what Baal means. So when a man has taken a woman and become her master, okay, and it come to pass that she find no favor in his eyes, because he has found some uncleanness in her, then let him write her a bill of divorcement and give it in her hand and send her out of his house. Okay, so if he is sending her out of the house, if she does not have a bill of divorcement, she can't go to another man. But, you know, when she is departed out of his house, she may go and be another man's wife or another man's woman, right? So if she has that bill of divorcement.
So she can be another man. I thought that she was defiled after that. That after divorce, that's it. Like,
that's not.
Nobody else can touch that.
That's not what the Torah teaches.
Now, if you put her away,
if you put her away, that's different. She doesn't have a bill of divorce.
Okay.
That's different. Okay. And if the latter husband, meaning the second husband, hate her and write her a bill of divorcement and gives it in her hand and sends her out of his house, or if the latter husband die, which took her to be his wife, her former or the first husband, which sent her away, may not take her again to be his wife. After that, she is defiled, for that is an abomination before Yahuwah.
I see.
So after the first husband has given her a bill of divorcement, she's free. But if she goes to be with another man, and after that, she whatever situation comes, she's not allowed to come to the first husband again. Okay. So, for example, we're going to use that today. There's a lot of people walking around, messing around with other men's women that don't have a bill of divorcement.
So what do you call that? Is that
That's adultery. All right. So let's see. All right. We talked about the woman must be given to the man by the father, or at least the male relative that has the authority to do so. Okay. The man takes her into his house.
Go sit down and listen.
Now, if anything happened, they break up. If that woman go to another man and that she doesn't have a bill of divorcement, that's adultery. Even if they never got a marriage license, they never went to the church, they never did, that's still adultery. That's why I say that would be fornication. So a lot of things that people don't consider to be fornication actually is fornication. And things that people don't consider, people that consider fornication is not fornication.
and as usual, they got it all twisted. Even where you read that Deuteronomy there, you could see what they did is they changed the wording so it wouldn't sound so harsh according to this Western, our standards over here for, because it says master and all that stuff,
Right.
Yeah. So they changing the meaning of the Hebrew.
Master.
And that's what it says in First Peter. He talks about that, how Mother Sarah addressed Abraham, calling her master or Lord.
Mm-hmm.
So that's just part of our culture. It's not to put someone down, or that's our culture. Why would it be a put down, dude, to call a man your master if he's ruling over you and providing for you? Why is that a put down?
But that's the heavy brainwashing we got going on here. You know, that brainwash. Yeah.
Or you have these women who are not marrying honorable men.
Mhm.
They don't. The men don't work. They don't do anything.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
You know. So.
And then they be like, call me master.
Right.
Okay. So we're going to go to Deuteronomy 22, verse 22. There's no questions in the gallery?
Now they were actually talking amongst each other about their relationships and stuff like that. So.
Okay. Okay. Okay, and we skipped this one, so we're going to go back to it. If a man be found lying with a woman married to a husband, then they shall both of them die, both the man that lay with the woman and the woman. So shall you put away evil from Yisrael. So that word married in English again is Baal.
Baal.
Yeah, Baal. So Baal. So, in other words, if a man be found lying with a woman who is mastered by a master, that's literally what it says.
Mastered by a master.
Only.
Okay. I think me and Michael are fighting over the temperature.
You're not obeying your master.
When it cool when he went to
Okay, and now we're going to hit Leviticus. And we're going to go to something I mentioned a little bit earlier. Chapter 19, 29. Okay? Do not prostitute your daughter to cause her to be a whore, lest the land fall to whoredom and the land become full of wickedness. Okay? So when we looked at, before we talked about the articles of virginity that the parents would have, and that it talks about if it's not found, that she should be stoned because she was being a prostitute in her father's house, right? In other words, she was engaging in sexual activity while she was still living with her father. So again, here is, do not prostitute your daughter. So that means she's still living with the parents. So you should not allow her to engage in sexual activity while she's still living in your house.
She should be living a chaste.
To cause her to be a whore, lest the land fall to whoredom. Okay. So again, we touched on this a little bit before, this whole dating culture that we have in this America. When a kid is high school, sometimes even younger, parents allow their kids to date, and knowing beforehand that there might be some sexual activity going on.
Yeah.
And they know the man, they know the boy, they know the family and everything, and they just
Or
allow
they
it.
might not even know them. Especially with our kids.
Yeah.
Like with us now.
Yeah. But you have one young man coming. Yeah. One boy coming by for a month, then the next boy comes around for 2 weeks, and then the next boy comes around for however long. That's prostitution.
And then the baby pops up.
Right.
Okay, that it should be that the father give his daughter to the man, should be some kind of exchange and agreement. That man takes that woman to his dwelling. She no longer lives with the parents, and that woman becomes that man's issue, that man's problem. No longer the problem of the parent. No, but you know.
No, they're blessings.
Yes.
Well, I mean, of course, that's what you know. He who finds a wife finds a good thing, in
That's right.
you know, from
That is
Yahuwah.
absolutely right.
Okay, so this
Ain't
is
that right, babe?
Yeah, yes, dude.
so yes, so this whole culture has everything on its ear. So if we're saying that we're returning to the ancient path, that means that everything has to come back to the Torah. We can't be double-minded. You know, Yahusha said we can't serve two masters.
Right.
You know, we read about some weeks ago about what happened in Israel during the time of the Maccabees. How Antiochus the Fourth wanted to Hellenize Israel. And some of the Hebrews, some of the Hebrews went along with them. They were like, yeah, let's do it. You know, so we have this double-minded nature, you know, going on where some of us accept that we are Yisrael or Israelites, but we're still hanging on to Western values.
Yeah. Yeah. This is true.
And we're trying to mix and match and try to find something that's comfortable.
Right.
Well, it's not about being comfortable. You know, if it's comfortable, it's probably wrong.
If it feels good, that means you're not doing it right.
There you go. So, you know, these are issues that we have to return to the ancient path. It says, I mean, what's the first commandment? Shema Yisrael, Yahuwah, Eloheinu, Yahuwah, Echad. Yahuwah, your Elohim, Yahuwah is one. And you shall love Yahuwah, your Elohim, with all your heart, and with all your soul, and with all your might. That leaves nothing else. There's no room for anything else.
Yeah.
So if we're going to return to the Torah, set up our families and our communities according to the Torah, it gives us the expectations that we have. And how we should treat our women, and how, again, we talked about this before, an Israelite woman
How should we treat our women?
is supposed to be taken care of from cradle to grave. They're
Not supposed to be out there going off to college or spring break to, you know, get her education.
Well, now, you don't want her to be educated?
They go to a school here. Do you see you see the type of education they get at these colleges?
Oh, no, I understand that. But what I'm saying,
I've seen it firsthand.
With guidelines and structure.
What Adnahu's saying is a woman is supposed to always have a covering.
Yes.
So if you go off to college and you out there on your own,
yeah.
you don't have a covering.
Right.
So some dude come up and you don't have anybody, you kind of out there, literally, you know.
Yeah.
And like I said, I seen them women who came in the Air Force with no covering and they got destroyed mentally.
Right. Yeah.
You know.
Yep.
And now, you done?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So and now, they got the whole thing out there. The pickup scene. They call it the pickup scene or the date, whatever. But it's this whole thing. These dudes done studied all this stuff and they got it down of how to talk to women and beguile them real good using all these psychological skills, and they got all these terms for doing all these different manipulative techniques and it's good. Like the stuff works. It's like black magic.
How you know?
Before I got in the word, you know, but no, but it works. But what kills it is Yah's word. Like it don't work against a woman who's grounded in the word.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
She'll see it from a mile away, cut straight through it. But if there's just a woman out there, you know, yeah, they're gonna get her. So it's dangerous out there. And then you got all the
Oh, yeah.
the sexual transmitted diseases, and or she get pregnant, and you know, all types of sin comes out of that. So, but yeah, man. So that was a good message. I saw there was a ton of activity on you see all this activity that was on there.
Oh, wow.
He said pickup artist. But yeah, there was you see all this activity that was going on. So yeah, we appreciate you guys on the chat. You know, and like I said, I'm gonna keep working, you know, to make the show better, to make it go smoother. Just trying new little things. Like I moved the start time to 3 o'clock. You know, we're just playing with different things to make the show more efficient, make it better, make it more informative. I was watching, you know, I read what you guys were talking about on there. So you guys gave me some ideas for what I might be teaching on next week, because a lot of what you guys were talking about on there pertaining to relationships ties in with some of the stuff that I didn't get to this week, but I'm gonna tie it in with so I you know, it'll be a good lesson next week. And Brother Adonai, I let him know that there's some stuff I want him to talk about that I've been, you know, just put a request into him. But if you guys have any suggestions for stuff to make the show better or whatever, definitely let me know. And with that said, we're gonna head on out, and you guys, you know, get on the Spiritual Combat group we got there, and have a nice day. Shalom.